Hi guys, it's Maddie. So today it is the 9th of April 2023 and I wanted to film a video because I haven't filmed a video for this channel in a while. One moment, my hair is having a malfunction. Yes, my glasses are on top of my head instead of on my eyes. I don't like the glare. Hi guys, so today is Easter Sunday. It's Easter, happy Easter. If you don't celebrate Easter, just happy days in general. I wanted to film a video while I had the energy and the time. Kind of just, I don't know, I don't really have a strict plan for this video. I feel like I should talk about the fact that I was recently pretty much diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And I found out I have kyphoscoliosis, because I always knew I had like a curve in my spine. Well, not always. I knew since I was like 15 that I had a curve in my spine, because a physiotherapist felt my back and felt like the curve and was like, yeah, you have a slightly curved spine. And then I go to a doctor back in, God, when was it? Christ. When did I go to the doctor? My memory's not working, one sec. Okay, you know what, we are going to talk about this, but let me start from the beginning. First of all, I thought I had arthritis. That's what the last video was about. I thought I had arthritis because I was getting joint pains and I was in a lot of pain. I was fatigued to an extreme amount. It was insane. I get these like red patches, especially on my knee. My knee will go like bright red. I've got some footage I can insert. Anyways, sorry, my brother came in and I got distracted. Anyways, so I went to the doctor back in December 2022, because I thought I had arthritis. I was getting severe joint pains. I was fatigued. I was really, really tired. I was in so much pain. It was making me feel sick. It was a lot. It was a lot. I was in a lot of pain, especially with my joints. And my hands, and part of me thought it was cerebral palsy and the cold weather, but part of me just could not shake the feeling that this was something deeper than, well, I mean, cerebral palsy is a serious issue, but like, I just couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than just my pre-existing condition of cerebral palsy and the fact it's cold outside. Because a lot of people kept telling me that, well, it's cold outside, you hurt more in the cold. And I was like, yeah, but this feels different. You know, I could tell it felt different, right? So I remember that people with cerebral palsy can be prone to arthritis because obviously the excess stress on the body and the strain puts a lot of pressure on the joints and wears at the cartilage. And I was thinking maybe I have arthritis on top of cerebral palsy. So I book a doctor's appointment for a blood test because I have cerebral palsy and there's like a more likely chance I could get arthritis. They just booked me in for the blood test. I didn't have to over-explain myself because I mentioned I have cerebral palsy. I'm more likely to get it. So I had a blood test with this lovely, lovely nurse. She was so sweet. Honestly, the best blood test I've ever had. It was so flawless. And normally blood tests are traumatic, like they're just not it, but that blood test was one of the easiest of my life. Anyway, so I have a blood test and I'm like waiting for these results, and they were like, if you don't hear back from us by like, I think it was like Friday, then like, you know, no news is good news kind of. So I was like, okay, didn't hear anything back from them, so I thought, okay, don't have arthritis. And then suddenly, right before Christmas, I get a call from my GP. And they're like, we found elevated CRP levels, which could be an indication of inflammation, which could be arthritis. So I was like, oh boy, you know. Didn't say that on the phone, but I was thinking in my head, oh no, I was right. So they booked me in to see a rheumatologist, I believe they're called, and so I go to that appointment, and this is where I'm gonna need my notes because I could tell you off the top of my head, but I know I will miss stuff out, if that makes sense. this is the wrong letter. Just opened the wrong letter entirely. Love that. This is where I need my notes because I could tell you off the top of my head, but like I said, I'd probably miss stuff out. So anyways, the doctor said, well, after doing a scan of my joints in my hands, but part of me wonders if I should go back and ask for a scan on my knees, because I'm still getting those red patches and pain, and it could be fibromyalgia. Could be, but why would fibromyalgia make my knee go red? But I do need to do more research into fibromyalgia because this is a new diagnosis for me. But anyways, so they said they diagnosed me with polyarthralgia. I'll put it on the screen. They diagnosed me with basically meaning like widespread joint pain. That's what that long word means. And the diagnosis was recently elevated CRP, but clinical picture otherwise most in keeping with fibromyalgia. So this is what kind of confuses me. It's like, yeah, you most likely have fibromyalgia. They didn't say you have fibromyalgia, they said you most likely. Very high chance you have fibromyalgia. Gradually progressive increasing joint pain with features of fatigue, hypersensitivity, brain fog, and multimodal sensory sensitivity. Family history, psoriasis. And a further investigation for inflammatory spondyloarthropathy. I can't read these long words. And I wanted to go into the medical field. That would be brilliant. Could you imagine? Like, of a patient being like, Obviously, my background is having congenital cerebral palsy. And I've mentioned this before, I don't know if on this channel, but I get an inflamed gut, and they called that gastric symptom suggestive of IBS. So, yeah. But yeah, they were going to do like an MRI if my CRP levels remained like elevated. But when they did the other blood tests, because basically I went and saw the doctor, the rheumatologist. He did a scan. He couldn't find any indication of arthritis. So based off of his professional opinion, he said, you probably have fibromyalgia, because I explained my symptoms. And also, my nan has fibromyalgia, which makes it even more likely. And yeah, let me just find the part. There we go. These features in themselves are most suggestive of fibromyalgia rather than inflammatory arthritis. And I did have an elevated CRP level on my blood test, but then they mentioned about the fact that because my family, on my dad's side, there's a history of psoriasis, that could be why, because I do get weird scaly skin sometimes. And it could have been a mixture of reasons why my levels were elevated anyways. They said could not see any indication of inflammation. However, right, this is the part where I was told stuff. I have mild kyphoscoliosis and mild hypermobility in my fingers. And I'm trying to find it. Finding it on the notes. There's a lot of, I'm not going to show you because it's got my personal details on it, but there's a lot of writing on these two pieces of paper. Oh, and then my blood test, the one that I had before I left the hospital, came back absolutely fine. So no CRP level elevation, so it must have been something, but I don't know what. And it says, as the problems you're having sound more in keeping with fibromyalgia, I don't think any further tests are needed at this moment. So basically, I have fibromyalgia. And yeah, I have fibromyalgia. Or, sorry, most likely. Very high chance, most likely. But I kind of want to go back to my GP and get that put on my medical record, because when I asked them before, they said it wasn't there. So I want to double check that's on my medical record now, in case any more future problems show up. Then I can say, well, this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Anyways, they gave me this leaflet about fibromyalgia, and this booklet about fibromyalgia, and I read through it, right? And I have almost every single symptom. Pain. I mean, I have cerebral palsy, so of course I'm always in pain, but still. Tiredness, fatigue, generally feeling like you have no energy. Again, cerebral palsy. That is also why. Sleeping badly. Aches and stiffness. Cerebral palsy. That's also why, but still. Forgetfulness or poor concentration. Stress, worry and low mood. Tingling, numbness and swelling of your hands and feet. Headaches, which I get a lot of the time. Restless leg syndrome, which is a tingling, uncomfortable feeling in your legs, especially at night. I get that as well. And I thought it was just my cerebral palsy. And part of it probably is my cerebral palsy. But I do get this weird feeling in my legs sometimes. And it's probably that. Irritability, feeling low or weepy. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you can feel that, but still. Painful menstrual periods. Mine are horrific. IBS, which I've already explained before, inflamed gut. Increased sensitivity to things like cold, sound, knocks and bumps. Tender or overly sensitive joints and muscles. Again, cerebral palsy is also a cause for this, but still. But the thing is, when they gave me this diagnosis, they knew I had cerebral palsy. They knew. So it wasn't like they don't know I had cerebral palsy and I explained all my symptoms and then they were like, oh yeah, fibromyalgia. They had the whole picture, if that makes sense. So yeah, I have fibromyalgia and kyphoscoliosis. And part of me wants to try medication. Part of me wants to maybe see if some kind of medication can help. At least pain meds. Because kyphoscoliosis is a physical thing. It's in my back, it's my spine. And I get horrific back pain. And every time I've gone to the doctor about pain, it's always been, have you heard of paracetamol? Have you heard of ibuprofen? But that pain doesn't work for stuff like this. It will work for example, sometimes if I have a headache, sometimes it doesn't even work for headaches, but it will work for stuff like if I have like period cramp or something, then it will work in soothing it. But it will work for the daily pains of life that everybody gets, but it doesn't work for my personal daily pains from my problems. Does that make sense? Also, an interesting fact is people who are neurodivergent are more likely to have fibromyalgia, and I am on the waiting list for ADHD, but I also am looking into getting tested for autism, because a lot of people in my life have recently been saying to me that, are you sure you're not also autistic? So, who knows? But I definitely think I have ADHD and I'm on the waiting list, so my doctor apparently thinks it's a likely cause to put me on a waiting list, you know? And when I went to my college counsellor back when I was doing my course at 19, they were like, yeah, that sounds like you have ADHD. Most people I talk to when I describe stuff about it say, yeah, it sounds like you have ADHD. But more and more people in the last few months have been asking me if I'm autistic. And the answer is I don't know. But hopefully I can get all those answers sorted. But yeah, basically my update is I don't have arthritis, I have fibromyalgia and kyphoscoliosis. And I'm hoping to, this year, I'm hoping to get more things sorted for that. Sorry, I'm getting in a lot of pain from sitting on the floor like this for too long. But, oh my god, my hips. Anyways, yeah, I think my back and my hips are really killing me right now. I sat weirdly for too long. So I think I'm going to end the video now because I'm in pain. But, I mean, I'm always in pain, but see, the thing is, I feel like I always have to over-explain myself. I don't know if anybody else with, like, disabilities or medical conditions or chronic illnesses get this, where you feel like you constantly have to explain yourself because it's like, for example, it'd be like, I'm in pain, and people will go, well, you're always in pain. It's like, yeah, but I'm in more pain. Yeah, but you're always in a lot of pain. No, I mean, you know, do just me, or does anybody else like get where they feel they have to constantly over-explain themselves and like, yeah, because I do. I always constantly over-explain myself. I'll have like a slight pain and I'll be like slightly more pain and I'll be like, oh my god, like I have to over-explain this whole thing to someone. Like someone will be like, how are you feeling today? And it's like, do I say in pain because it's just a constant state of being? Not really, it's just my normal part of being okay, you know? But sometimes it goes over my limit and then I complain and people are like, yeah, but you're used to pain. It's like, yeah, but it's hurting me a lot right now. And also I feel like mental state has to do with it. Like some days, if I don't feel like I can emotionally cope with the pain I'm in, I'll feel worse because, like, how to explain this? I'll react worse. I'll make more of a fuss and, like, make people more aware of the fact I'm in pain. If I'm not coping with it that good emotionally that day. Like, I've had days where I've just full on sobbed about the fact that I was born with cerebral palsy and there is nothing I can do about it. I mean, okay, when you've had it your whole life, you should be used to it. But some days you just crack, you know? Some days you're just like, this is so unfair, and then you feel guilty I mean, I'm talking from my personal experience, but I feel guilty sometimes because I'm like, yeah, but my life could be so much worse, like, and then it's like, yeah, well, so could anyone's, you know, just because somebody could have so much worse problems than you doesn't mean that your problems don't hurt, you know? Yeah. I feel guilty a lot, to be honest, because my original diagnosis, I think I've talked about this before, my original diagnosis for my cerebral palsy that my parents got from when they looked at my scans of my brain damage was tube-fed, severely disabled, can't lift your own head up, in a bed constantly, basically. That was my diagnosis that my parents got. My parents were basically told I wouldn't be able to do a single thing for myself. So I'm incredibly lucky, and I know I'm incredibly lucky, and honestly, I am incredibly lucky to be how I am because my original diagnosis was not this, you know? So, yeah, I'm incredibly lucky that I've gotten this far and I can do things for myself and I'm quite independent and yeah, I'm in a lot of pain, but things could be so much worse. But also, that doesn't invalidate the fact that sometimes it's very hard. I feel like life is just constantly difficult for me. And I know life is hard, like we all know life is hard, but I just feel like I'm constantly being thrown a curveball if I'm not physically in pain or emotionally in pain or mentally in pain or in pain in some kind of way. Normally all of the above. You know, it's a lot. Life is a lot. I get overwhelmed very easily. It's a lot. But, that being said, I am grateful for what I do have. But some days are just hard. You know? Okay, all the days are hard, but some days are harder than others. You know? But, yeah. I have fibromyalgia, basically. But it's kind of bugging me, guys, that it's like, most likely have fibromyalgia, because I kind of want it to be like, do I, don't I? But then again, saying that, I know that fibromyalgia, from my research and what I've been told, is hard to put a definite diagnosis on. It's hard to say you definitely have fibromyalgia, because I found, especially through watching a lot of videos of other people with fibromyalgia, their doctors are kind of hesitant, like it's a label that they put on hesitantly, because it's like, I feel like if it is something else, they don't want it to come back and bite them, you know, because fibromyalgia is quite a wide range of issues. But basically, I haven't even explained what fibromyalgia is. Basically, fibromyalgia is to do with the processing and nervous system, and it's kind of like, the way I was described it by the doctor, the rheumatologist, was fibromyalgia is like, I'm processing pain higher than I should be. Everything hurts more for me. My nervous system is kind of out of whack, basically. Let me see if I can find a general, proper definition, because here we go. This is the general definition in this booklet. What is fibromyalgia? Fibromyalgia is a long-term condition that causes pain and tenderness all over your body. Unlike arthritis, it isn't because you have problems with your joints, bones or muscles, although I'm going to put a pin in that a sec. I do have problems with my joints, bones and muscles from cerebral palsy, but fibromyalgia isn't about that, if that makes sense. Anyways, carrying on. It's thought to be caused by your nervous system in your brain and spine not being able to control or process pain signals from other parts of your body, which in a way makes sense that I have fibromyalgia, because with having cerebral palsy and being born premature, number one, I wasn't developed as much as I should have been in the womb because I was born at 28 weeks, and with cerebral palsy I have brain damage. Parts of my brain are missing, so the signals in my brain are already not doing what they should be doing. So it makes perfect sense that my signals in my brain are not doing what they should be doing and are causing me other problems like fibromyalgia, because the signals are already all out of whack, if that makes sense at all. That being said, no, I am not saying that everyone with cerebral palsy has fibromyalgia. I'm just saying my own personal experience. I want to make that perfectly clear now in this video. I am not saying that everybody with cerebral palsy has fibromyalgia. I'm saying that I'm a person with cerebral palsy that has fibromyalgia. Just wanted to make that perfectly clear. Anyways, I feel like I've talked enough, but if you guys have any questions or want me to do another video on fibromyalgia and cerebral palsy and other stuff like neurodivergency, or in general, like my inflamed gut, health stuff, if you want anything about any of that, any I can't speak, particular topics you want me to talk about, please let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. I would love to do another reading your comments video. I loved reading your comments. I need to actually go through my comment section on my YouTube studio and check no one's left me any, because I sometimes don't see them and I feel so guilty when I don't see them, but I don't always get the notification. So I do want to go back and check that no one else has sent me a lovely message, because I do appreciate every single comment I get and I love you guys' support so much. And I want to start using my Instagram again at Madalada Munden -2. It's just slowly easing myself back into just doing YouTube in general before I even throw myself into Instagram, you know? But I do want to start using it again. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. Subscribe if you want to. Thank you for watching this video. And if you have any questions, like I said, let me know. And thank you for watching this video. And happy Easter, or happy day in general if you don't celebrate Easter. Just hope everyone has a lovely day. And until next time, goodbye guys.